All right. Good afternoon, Darsh. How are you today?
Hey, I'm fine, Sam. How are you today?
I am doing fantastic. So, I'm really excited to film your digital cover letter this afternoon. You worked for Boston Whaler for many, many years, and we're a very long term client of Ronstad's. And unfortunately, we are in a situation of layoffs at your current organization, which is why you're coming back into the job market unexpectedly. But nevertheless, you bring a ton of fantastic skills and experience to the table. So let's learn a little bit about that today. So tell me a little bit about what your last position looks like working at Boston Whaler from 2017 to 2023.
Great. Yep. So I started with Boston Whaler as the senior HR manager, and my responsibilities were building a team. So I really built across the HR team out there. I developed the HR business partner model. I worked on employee relations, predominantly on talent acquisition. Probably I had around 600 plus employees during my tenure, managed all the employee disciplines, the investigations, the policies, the procedures. So predominantly everything what a plant HR manager does is what I did in that role. And I spent around 5 years in that role, kind of build the team, build the systems around, worked on a couple of process improvements into my when I was doing that role as an HR manager, predominantly around new hire orientation, hourly performance reviews. So those were some of the key highlights I did in that role. And then I got promoted into the corporate. So I got a role as a learning and development manager in May 2022. And I moved to Brunswick Board Group as the learning and development manager. So
Great.
in the new role, I was actually working on learning and development initiatives, which involve leadership development. It involved competency assessments. It was more like a new centers of excellence designed by the Brunswick Corporation. So I was the first employee in the centers of excellence. So I was really kind of shaping up the department, and it has been just about 9 to 10 months, and then there you come. There was a layoff, and this role got eliminated in February 2023.
I'm so sorry, my internet timed out for just a second. So, what I was saying, though, I don't know where I got cut off, but when you're thinking back on your HR career, you sat in an HR management seat for many years and then moved into learning and development. At this stage in your career, what would you say you would lean more towards having got to experience so many different roles within the HR department?
I would say I would still lean towards being an I would say, person who is able to manage employee development, but also able to manage the actual engagement, the retention, which is a part of the generalist role, right? So I don't want to bucket myself into one category. Oh, I'll
Yeah,
only do learning and development. I'll only do the HR manager role. Like, I think it should be something which is exciting, where
yeah,
I can kind of bring a lot on the table because I have a combination of the HR manager and the learning and development. So
yeah.
if I can bring both on the table in the role, that's what I'm looking for.
And I do want to point out too the location, which I mean is headquarters for Boston Whaler. You were hiring and managing employees of all different types of skill sets, but from office employees all the way out to the warehouse. Can you give us a little bit of idea of some of the job titles? Just an example that you were hiring for, developing, training, things like that.
Sure. So the kind of roles which we had in Boston Whaler, because predominantly both manufacturing company, so really hired assemblers, finishers, warehouse hourly employees. We had gel coating, so we had different kind of very niche segments which we were into. So those were some of the skill sets which we were hiring for the hourly employees, and those were a major population, right? So that's where those volumes came in from. I was also responsible for the salaried roles, and the salaried roles were predominantly development engineer, lead engineers, someone in operations manager, supervisory roles, and
Great.
sometimes a finance manager, I would say, but predominantly around operations and engineering and customer support. The
Yeah.
technical warranty specialist. So some of those roles is what I really hired, and also I would say eventually trained them into the organization.
Darsh, what would you say is one of your biggest struggles working in HR and how do you overcome it?
The biggest struggles always, and all of us know that, is to get the right talent into the business. I think that's something which we all really, really struggle getting the right talent at the right time into the business. And something which I've been able to work along in Boston Whaler has been really developing a lot of systems and processes around talent acquisition, is what I have been able to do. Working on the workforce planning, working on ensuring that we did our branding outside in the market very well, getting out for job fairs, doing a lot of creative work around the talent acquisition is what I have been able to kind of get over and get the right talent at the right time in our operations world.
Fantastic. Darsh, at this stage in your career, what is the most important thing to you about the next company that you work for?
I would say the most important thing for me is going to be the culture. I would like to get into an organization where there is a huge, where there's a positive culture, where diversity, equity, and inclusion is something which the company values. So that's something which I'm looking for. I think that's going to be the big driving factor for me.
All right, fantastic. Darsh, I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording and then chat with you a little bit more if that sounds good.
Sure, of course. Thank you.